Hello my loves, welcome back. I'm in my backyard right now. The sun is setting, the chickens are out. It is what it is, but I really need to come on here and share this message with you guys right now. I couldn't wait any longer, to be honest with you. I've been putting this one off and have been honestly pretty disobedient in waiting this long, so it just needs to happen. So this message is very specific for someone. You'll know exactly if it's for you because you'll know in your spirit. This will not even be confirmation. It'll be like a kick in the pants. Spirit is saying that you were already told exactly what it is that you were supposed to do in this situation. You were already given very clear instruction on what to do, where to go, what happens next. The thing is that you would hear that message, you would hear that instruction, it would be clear as day, but you would keep in the past, you were putting it off again and again. You kept putting it off. And this is not the clarity that you would have received in this matter. Like, you would have received it in the last within the last 5 days, but it could be longer for some of you guys. It could be like 6 to 7 days. That time frame, there is an undeniable feeling of your back is against the wall, and now, because you didn't heed the advice of the divine, now it's like inevitable that it brought you here, and now you have to respond and move accordingly to the first thing that Spirit told you to begin with. Now, let me kind of like take a step back, because I'm not trying to make this sound cryptic. Again, this is really a specific message for someone, but the clarity that you would have got on the situation, let's start off with that. The clarity that you would have got on the situation would have been anywhere between 5 to 7 days, starting from the point that is that you're watching this video now, that you're listening, hearing me now. That's the clarity. However, this situation could have gone on a lot longer than that. Ow! My chickens are so rude sometimes. They're like, girl, you're out here, and the only reason why you exist in our world is to give us snacks. Anyways, but this situation, right? The clarity that you would have received on the situation would have been within the last 5 to 7 days of you watching this video now. However, this situation would have been a lot longer than that. The divine, the spirit, guides, your ancestors, whoever it is that you called on, you've already talked to them about this situation. You've already talked to them about the circumstances. What do I do here? They don't appreciate me here. They don't like me here. Or this is what I need. This is what, and you kept getting clarity again and again and again on the situation. You have to leave, or you have to approach it this way. It's not going to get any better. But there's a part of you that was super stubborn. And also there was a big part of you that kept convincing yourself that if I wait a little longer, if I go a little harder, that this situation will change. They'll respect me. They'll honor me. They'll this. And the level of frustration that the divine has, that you're in this and I have chill bumps right now. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the level of frustration that the divine has that you're still in this current status quo is level 10. Like, it's the highest level of frustration. Now, when Spirit says that they're frustrated with you, it's not coming from a place where that you're getting punished or that you did anything wrong. It's honestly an act of unconditional love that the divine cares so much, or that your angels and your guides care about you so much that they don't want to see you in that place, and they've already given you instruction, clear instruction in how to move and pivot out of it. For some of you guys too, the reason why you need to hear this right now is because you had already received guidance and clarity on the situation. So when you're talking about it and when you're bringing it to the divine, you're coming from it from your perspective. Like, I've already talked about it, and my prayers, my intention hasn't been answered. I'm at the end of my rope. This can only go on for so long. Like, what do I do now? And the truth is like, Spirit says, and this is why, like, and this is Spirit talking to me, this is why you need to talk about this now, because this is what they're believing about the situation, and there needs to be an intervention. So if you're watching this, you had already received, again, some instruction, but because you didn't follow that instruction and you kept second guessing it and challenging it and trying to paint it into something other than what it is, even the message from the divine, like it's one thing to try to change the circumstance to match what you want it to be, and it's a whole nother thing to hear exactly what the divine is telling you, the truth of the matter and what you need to do, and then trying to convince yourself or tell yourself that it's not. Like, you'll hear it, you'll know that you need to do it in your spirit, but still be like, wait, or delay it, or doubt it, or try to paint it in a different picture, or maybe if things change, or maybe if I go harder, then spirit or the divine or the situation will change, and then it'll turn into a different direction. And then it's like years pass and you're in the same spot and you're like, I've talked to the divine about this and it hasn't changed, and spirit, and you're to the point now where you're like, I won't even, you might not even go to the divine and tell them your frustration now, because you might feel forsaken, you might feel forgotten, you might feel like your prayers aren't answered, when the answer has already been provided. It's just you who doesn't want to accept it. So you go in harder and you vouch harder and you rally harder, and it ends up being the same outcome. There was another part to this that needs to be received by you, and that is that someone here is taking something very, very personally in this matter, or a matter very close to this situation. You're taking something very personally, and spirit is showing a level of concern because it's showing how close you're holding it to your heart. You're holding that, the offense, or you're holding like whatever you're taking personally, like, oh, like I needed validation here, I needed to hear this, I needed to that. Like, you're holding that so close to you that you're holding that closer than the words of the divine, or the guidance of the divine, or the advice of the divine. And there's a problem there. You should not, when you hold something, when you take something personal and you're holding it too close to you, you're being infiltrated, meaning like the enemy or the evil or the toxic or the shadow is prevailing. That part of you has full reign, because the light side of you is falling back. And that's when the divine says, no, again, we need an intervention here. And I will, talk to the divine about not forgiveness, but just, my own reasons for delaying putting this message up here now. Not because of it applies to me in this matter, although if I can definitely see where in my life I can fit it. But because outside of that, I've been having my own, like, I always have these like rebellious, sorry guys, I'm trying to find a comfortable spot. I always have these rebellious seasons in my life, even with the divine, where I'm just like, yeah, like I know I'm supposed to, show up and give this message, but honestly, it's a hard message and I don't really want to be the one, or, yeah, it'll be me, but that I'll say, I'll pass it on because I'm called to, but also it's like, it's uncomfortable. Or sometimes I have like a love-hate relationship with YouTube, like the platforms or social media in general. Like, I'm shy and private by nature. And by private and shy, I mean, like, if I had my way, I would just be like, fall in a wallflower. That's kind of my nature. But then I sit with myself long enough and sit with the divine, and it's so strong the way that I feel to come in and share the message. And when I do, I'm just like, have this great sense of relief afterwards, but it's the leading up to it that I'm like, I hear you telling me that this is the time to share it, but also, so I'll have that conversation with the divine on, what that looks like and why it took me so long. Because this week in particular, and I feel like I'm rambling, but I'm just pouring it all out there. This week in particular, there has been so many downloads, like so many. And I don't even mean like animal totem, like light shit. It is so specific, these messages. So specific. And some of them are heavy, and some of them are obvious, and some of them are intense, and some of them invoke change. And my Virgo nature is just like, let me just sit with this first. Let me sit. So that's why there's been a delay. Whoa, it's a pigeon. Sorry guys. I have to go back to the part where Spirit was saying they're taking this thing personally. So the divine has an issue with taking things too close to heart, because you're allowing your shadow self to trump your light self, and it's creating a blockage in your path. Some of you guys are meant to are here on earth to contribute to a great source of healing, a great space of healing. And you've been given specific clarity on exactly what that looks like, but it's almost like you're hearing, but you're not really listening. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll be like, well, you know, Spirit is telling me this one thing, but are you asking for discernment and clarity, and listen to your intuition, and also build the wisdom to know what is Spirit's voice and what is your shadow self and what is your ego? Start to develop the difference between those voices. And I would love to do, you know, a video on how to discern the difference between that, but that's not the point of the message today. The message is that the divine has been speaking to you as far as what is next, what you need to do, and in addition to delaying it and doubting it and trying to paint it into something other than what it is, you are also taking something personally, and it's a reflection of, again, the shadow self really trumping over you right now. And this is even more reason for you to go back to the divine, the very thing that is that you probably don't want to do right now because you're frustrated or whatever the case is. Go back to the divine and really truly have a heart-to-heart conversation and say, this is what, when you said this to me, this is what it meant to me. This is to the divine that you're having this conversation. But when you said this to me, it meant this to me, and this is how I interpret it, and this is how I feel, and this is not what I want. If you can get real open and honest and clear with the divine, and if you can put down this need to take things personally, that same situation that is trumping over you right now will not win. It will literally have no choice but to fall back. Some of you guys, it's like this specific situation, whether it be a relationship where you were called to leave this situation, called to leave this relationship, leave this, like, whatever it is, there's a part of you that doesn't want to do it. Not only is that creating a delay, it's making you second guess the divine and making you second guess your gifts. And then on top of that, when you hear a message from someone else, you immediately get triggered, you immediately get reactive, you take it personally, and then that takes priority, and that acts as an additional distraction. So there's a lot of confrontation that needs to come from that. Meaning, like, when you sit with yourself and you say, like, take a deep breath and say, okay, let me start from ground one. Let me start from basic, bare bones, minimal, disrobing myself, totally taking away any expectation of myself, of the situation. I forgot what you said. Like, let's say you go to the divine, you say, divine, I heard what you said. This is where I'm at right now. We've talked about this before. Remind me. What do I need to hear? What do I need to know? You don't need to tell me all of this right now. I don't even need to have an answer right now. I just need to hear your voice. I need to hear direction. I need to hear what's next. Now Spirit is kind of talking about how, again, like, Spirit is talking about how you're going to receive, when you start that prayer, you're going to start to receive information. You're going to start to receive information, but it's going to be the same information that you received from the beginning, but it's going to hit different. So even though it's the same information, you'll be able to actually, because of your wisdom, because of your experience, and because of this frustrating ass situation that has your back against the wall, finally you'll understand, you'll see, you'll know what you need to do and why it took all of this. Also, one last thing, the divine is talking about being disrobed. And that's a very specific word, because that's a very specific word, disrobed, because that means that whatever you put on, whatever you tell yourself, I've got to put this on, I've got to show up this way, this is the way that it has to be, you're taking that off. and that you were wearing, that you had on your body, that you were carrying. And even as I'm talking about this, Spirit is showing me how it's like a person who wears a jacket during the summertime, or a person who refuses to pick up a jacket when it's the middle of winter. There's something here that you're choosing not to take off or not to put on because it's not how you expect it to be. It's not what you want it to be. It doesn't mean the same thing to you. But again, that's where the divine is getting really frustrated. That's where your angels and your guides are getting frustrated, because you were given clear instruction on exactly what you need to take off, on exactly what. And for some of you guys who are like, Jess, what does this mean? Listen, this is another thing too that I'm really, and forgive me for bopping around all over the place. I'm actually trying to like get my message out without getting distraction. And there's like mosquitoes. It's that time of the day. But that's another reason too why I don't always get comfortable with coming on here, because I don't even want to say it now, but not every message is going to be for every person. And it's very important that every single one of us individually work on discernment and work on our relationship with the divine, our relationship with our guides, so that we know how to communicate. And when we're being communicated, we know exactly what's being said. And then from that, move accordingly. All of that is easier said than done. It's not repeating numbers. It's not repeating animal totems. Those things are minuscule in the eyes and the voice of the divine. When the divine speaks directly to you, into your soul and spirit, it's not, for most people, it's not all the time. There are people who are oracles, or they channel and they talk to the divine, and the divine speaks real loud and clear. There are people who are like that. It's few and far between. That's how it is for me. But not everybody has that same gift. That's not to say that one is better than the other. There's different things that we're all here for. There's different things that we contribute to. So if you're talking to the divine and you're not getting any clarity, or if you hear from the divine once every 3 or 5 years, or 6 years, or 8 years, or 10 years, believe that that is enough. But when the divine speaks to you, directly to you, or if you learn how to strengthen that line of communication, you won't ever have to even second guess. Like, even receiving a message from an oracle, or someone who is, meaning an oracle, a person who hears from the divine often and has those lines, whether they were born with it or they developed it, or a combination of the two while they're here on earth, it will resonate like heavy in the spirit but light in the spirit, because you already know, versus constantly looking for these artificial, superficial messages that we can find and look for everywhere. But no wonder why you're cloudy. No wonder why you're confused, because it's not directly from the divine. So that's a whole nother message on like why I delay to even come on YouTube, because there's this crossroads energy that I feel sometimes, where it's like, sometimes I don't even want to be a part of the YouTube platform and all the things that go on here. But that's another topic. Oh, here we go. These two roosters. Come on. Believe it or not, I'm actually trying to focus. And this is the quietest spot is outside right now. Let me get more focused again. Let me see if there's anything else that I was going to say. It was mostly that the instructions that you were given from the jump, whether to leave a situation or show up to a situation or be open to a situation, every one of you guys is going to be different. That hasn't changed. You were given the wisdom, or given a direct message from the divine however many years ago, or maybe it's recent for some of you guys, but either way, the clarity on that situation has become crystal clear within the last few days. And the divine is concerned. There's a level of concern, a spiritual concern, that you heard this call, and because you spent so much time doubting it and trying to turn it into something that it's not, or even expecting it to show up in this one way so that you're able to receive it, is the same reason why you're not able to receive it, if that makes any sense. And the divine is saying now, with a lot of grace and a lot of passion and a lot of love, because the fact that the divine looks at every single one of us and says, your plight in this matter, your struggle in this matter, this frustration in this matter is important to me, and I'm trying to help you. Let me help you. The fact that the divine shows up for every single one of us is unbelievable all by itself. But having said that, the instruction now is to see, undeniably see the situation for what it is. Remember what you were told. Go to the divine and ask for clarity, and ask to be open, and ask to be super receptive to the wisdom and the guidance that is meant to reach you in this moment, because the level of frustration that you're also at right now is not acceptable to the divine, and your angels and your guides and the divine do not want you to continue to carry on as you have been. There is an overarching energy of being humbled lately in this world, because there are too many that are not. There's more people who are walking around saying that they have the answers, and saying, like, putting on this bravado and sharing all of this extra, and that's not the case. And it's creating chaos, it's creating dysfunction, it's creating imbalance. And Spirit is asking every single one of us to go to the space, strip off of what we put on, humble ourselves, and ask to be start from ground level, base level, once again. And from that space, the same message that you heard in the past is going to hit different, it's going to resonate different, and you're going to do with it different. It will take courage. For some of you guys, it will be a complete reawakening of your life. For some of you guys, it'll be a complete breakdown of career paths, relationships, the dissolving of marriages. But ultimately, all of this is leading to a greater space of freedom that will bless you in ways where it's like all of the things start to flow together. Not just the one thing that's frustrating you now. You'll see how that impacted this, impacted this, impacted this. It impacts everything. It impacts everything, or impacted everything. And the divine right now says, divine intervention. This has gone on for too long. Hear my voice. Take this seriously. Come back to me. Let's have a conversation. And from this point, let's do different. Okay, I just got confirmation that I said what needed to be said, and it was clear. Sometimes I'll keep talking because I'm not sure. But I just got real strong confirmation in my spirit that the message was delivered. Literally, guys, I know I say this all the time, but thank you. Like, really, truly, thank you for being open to hearing me, seeing me. The fact that you found me, the fact that you in a world where there's a lot of noise and a lot of yelling, and I'm just not doing that, and the fact that you heard my voice and you are responding to that, and to me, it's like we're here for a reason. We found each other, and for that reason, I'm so grateful, because there is a lot, you know, there's just a lot of different platforms and stuff like that. And I want to say before we go, and this is just me to you, like, I really feel this call to my spirit. I want to say before we go that how the divine speaks to you, that you hear the voices divine clear. That in a world where there's a lot of noise, where there's a lot of distraction, where there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of things kind of portraying themselves to be other than they're not, I set the intention that you hear the divine's voice clear, loud as day, and it's undeniable to you. I set the intention that your relationship with the divine, your angels and your guides, your ancestors, that it develops and strengthens every single day, every single moment. I set the intention that Spirit opens up the space, the place, the spaces and the places in your life, everywhere in your life where you can go, that it be sacred, and that you can go back to strengthening that line of communication between you and the divine. Because without that, like what else do you need? from that space, all of your blessings will come pouring from that space, because you will be amply provided for. Your health, your peace of mind, your unions, your relationships, your marriage, your friendships, your community, your tribe, your spirituality, your practices, your purpose, all of those things come from one freaking source, one source. I set the intention that from this, let me just say this real quick. So one of my roosters right now, the cocky one, he's trying to get to this other rooster to beat him up, because there's a competition. It's his ego. It's a battle. Like, roosters specifically are signs of ego. And he's making the same path. He's going through the same path of this gate to try to get to this other rooster to kind of jump him, because all of the hens are around the second rooster and not around him. And he's just circling back and forth, beating his head up almost pretty much on this chicken wire fence, when he should find a new way. Okay, now he's trying to find a new way. But honestly, it's a metaphor, because think about how our egos have us pursuing a specific thing that we want to attack, that we want to go after, that we want to achieve, that we want to dominate, that we wish to have, that we want to receive. We want to go after it. We're fucking locked in on it. Pardon my French, but we're locked in on it. And we hurt ourselves trying to go through the same path to get to that very thing, when the divine, if this rooster was to sit back, literally take a step back and reconnect with its higher self, my rooster, imagine if it was that evolved, it would find a different way, or it would realize that there's 9 different hens out there and 2 roosters. They can have whoever they want, and the hens can choose or whatever, but he's literally hurting himself. And I wonder how that message also applies to you in this situation. In what ways do you find yourself locked in? You say, there's only one way that this can happen. There's only one path that I can take. This is what I'm focusing on. This is the only thing that it can be. And who told you that? Who told you that? Was that what you told yourself? Is that what your ego convinced you of? Is that what your shadow self told you? It has to look like this. It has to be this way in order for there to be healing, in order for it to be trustworthy, in order for it to be successful. When you step back and you allow the divine to inspire you to pivot greatly from your perspective and in your spirit, what can't flow from that space? And how could it ever possibly be toxic and bad and damaging for you? The divine is not here to hurt you. So I'll leave it on that note, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me, hanging out with me. I can't believe this video is 30 minutes long. Like I said, there are a lot of messages that I need to share with you guys. The downloads have been great. I've been hesitant for my own reasons. And even in that, it's kind of been a little disobedient on my end. And I'm just going to always keep it 100 with you guys. You guys know I'm always speak the truth, always coming through all authentic, always my 100% self with that. And I have been a little disobedient. For my own reasons, and I'm still trying to talk to the divine about that, because I'm human too, you know. So, but there is another message specifically that needs to go up next. I will do that. I'm just, even as I'm talking to you guys now, I'm just like, oh fuck. I just think that we're just in spiritually interesting times. So, all right, I'm gonna go get ready and go get my notebook, and then I'll share my next message. But until then, thank you guys so much for being here in this moment. I hope that you're well. I hope that you're being nourished and supported. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.